YouTube, what's good Mzansi? You know, if you have seen me, you've seen it all. And we're back with another hot topics, and we're back with another hot talk. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, it's hot. Let me just remove my gown and begin to talk to you guys nicely. I'm saying, yeah, guys, let me just put my gown on the side. Yeah, okay. The topic today is why Zimbabweans will not get along with South Africans. Right? It's not every Zimbabwean that does not get along with South Africans, but I'm talking about those few that will not get along. Right? Don't get me wrong. I'm saying it's not every. There are those who get along with South Africans, right? And there are those who never get along with South Africans. So whatsoever I'm going to say, don't feel it, don't feel offended or don't feel bad. I'm here to tell you guys the reason, right? The first reason is, before we go to the reason, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell, and please comment down below so that you can be notified the next time I drop the next video. Yo, let's go. The first one is labor, right? If you can check, right, the reason why Zimbabweans cannot get along with South Africans, most of the time it is because of labor, right? Now, okay, what do I mean by saying labor? If you can check, most of the guys that come from universities, right? Those guys that come from universities, and also a Zimbabwean was also obtained maybe masters in university. So now, when it comes to labor, right, you realize that a Zimbabwean is ready to choose anything that comes out on the way. But a South African, he will not be able to choose for anything that comes out on the way. Why? Because they believe that they paid so much money in school and they spent a lot of years studying for this course. So they want to be paid according to this course. Right, so you discover that labor-wise, when it comes to labor-wise, we don't get along. Why? Because we appreciate anything that comes on the way. As long as you are making money month-end, as long as you are earning money month-end, it's just anything that comes on the way. Let's say maybe it's 2,000 rand. It's okay. You know, for Zimbabwean, it's okay. Why? Because we know that where we come from, it's better we accept that money than just sitting down at home and being unemployed. But then there you take a South African and then say, okay, your salary here is how much? Your salary is how much is 2,000 a month or 1.5 a month. It's not every South African who can take that money and say, okay, I'm taking that money and then I'm going to make at least a living. It is only few. Right, it is only few, and most of the guys who usually take that kind of money are the people who make, for example, like Labapomema Kaya, those who come from maybe a rural area, or someone maybe who comes from a location who knows that, hey, where I come from, everything, you just accept anything that comes on the way. You know what I'm saying? And then, guys, also, the thing about labor is that most of the guys that come from the suburbs, right, most of the South Africans that come from the suburbs, or most of the guys that come from a rich family, they don't usually go and accept a smaller money. Not only a rich family, but those guys who come from maybe a middle class, right? Let's say maybe my mother is let's say maybe my mother is maybe, what can I just say, my mother maybe she's a teacher, right? I cannot easily accept that money. Because I'm also looking at the background of where I come from, right? And then the other thing, guys, is okay. The other thing is I'm still talking about labor. And then the other thing under labor, right, is you realize that the reason why Zimbabweans and South Africans it's not easy to get along. It is because because most of us as Zimbabweans, we are mostly hungry, right? We are hungry for anything that comes on the way. We are hungry and we are ready to accept anything. Why? Because we believe that we can build out of that smaller thing. You know what I'm saying? And then skills, right? And then realize that the skills that, okay, the skill, right, that a South African and a Zimbabwean have, they might be slightly the same and they might be also slightly different. Now, what do I mean? Now, you realize that most of the guys that are Zimbabwean, especially Zimbabwean men, some of them, they're in construction. right? But then it's not easy to find a South African guy saying, I want to be into construction. I want to go and work in construction. Remember, when you go and work in construction, you're also developing not a skill, right? I'm not saying that those who don't want to go, but I'm saying for those who do not want to even hear anything that says construction, because they think that that is a very, very hard job. You see, that is a very, very, I'll never go and work in construction. I'm saying they'll say, I'll never go and work in construction. That is one of the hardest labor jobs. But then you realize that under construction, there is money that can be made. I'm saying, and there is critical skills that can be developed within that. So you realize the reason why we would never get along, it is because we are ready to say, okay, we believe that, okay, if I can do something that consists of a hand, instead of me staying inside the office, it becomes better. Right? Okay. Despite that, let's say maybe I go around painting people's houses. It's only few South Africans who are really into this thing of saying, it's better I go into construction. You know what I'm saying? And then the other thing is education-wise. The reason why sometimes we'll never get along, it is because if you can estimate the education of Zimbabwe, right, and the education of South Africa, the education of South Africa, when it comes to tertiary and college, when it comes to tertiary universities and colleges, it is higher, right? It is very, very high, right, than Zimbabwe, right? But then primary and high school, the South African education of primary and high school is very low. Public, I'm talking about public, I'm not talking about private. I'm talking about public, right? The education there, it's very, very lower of South Africa. But then of Zimbabwe, primary and high school is very, very high. You realize that a grade 3 is already learning how to write the day I'll never forget, right? Despite that, you realize that a grade 3, right, in Zimbabwe is coming out around 4 o'clock. Imagine, imagine a grade 3 in Zimbabwe. The moment you arrive in grade 3, you are coming out around 4 o'clock. The moment you're in grade 1 and 2, you are coming out around 2 o'clock. And then grade 3, going upwards, the moment you arrive in grade 3, they believe that your brain is already matured. You know what I'm saying? But then here, when you're in grade 3, they consider you as you are still the baby. Right? And then you realize that even the maths on its own, it's at another level. The curriculum of grade 5 is being taught in grade 3 in Zimbabwe. You see, okay, what do I mean? Now look at this, right? Look at this. A grade 2 in Zimbabwe is doing an agriculture. Grade 1 is learning about doing computers, right? Typing. I know some of you might be like, but then why are they going to clean up the streets? Remember, when it comes to technology, South Africa is gifted. But then there is a cyber security, there is a cyber city that will be built, that will be conducted in Zimbabwe. Right? Then look at this, right? Look at this. A grade 2 in Zimbabwe is learning agriculture, soil erosion. There is agriculture. They are learning how to plow, and they are learning how to plant. During lessons, imagine during lessons, you actually live. You actually get the time to go to the garden where you'll be learning about the plantations and everything, right? And then here it's not, and then here grade 2, grade 3s, they don't usually go and go and learn those things about soil erosion, about soil erosion, about them, about them. This thing, man, is it evaporation? Yeah, water evaporation. Grade 2. I still, because I ended my education in grade 4 in Zimbabwe, but then already in grade 2 we learn about water evaporation. Imagine, we learn about water evaporation, and then now in South Africa, primary education. If let's say you are doing grade 10 here in South Africa, and then you go back to Zimbabwe, they will say go back. They'll say no, you must drop. But then if you're in Zimbabwe, right, and then you are coming to learn here, The only thing that can become a disadvantage is maybe, let's say, you were doing maybe Shona, home language, right? And then obviously they'll say, okay, you don't understand Shona, then you have to go back to grade 8. That is a disadvantage. But then let's say you're doing Ndebele, and then you just go straight to isiZulu. It becomes easier for you, you even flow. Why? Because because imbalo, the written of Ndebele and Zulu is the same. You know what I'm saying? It's the same, but in terms of pronunciation, it's different. Right? And then the other thing is language. Right? The reason why they cannot really get along. The reason why they cannot really get along is because it is because it's very, very difficult to learn South African language. The easiest language is isiZulu to be learned, right? isiZulu to be learned. That is one of the easiest language to learn, right? But then Sotho becomes difficult to learn. Imagine, let's say I'm learning Afrikaans. I'm from Zimbabwe. I just arrived in South Africa today, and I have to be taught African. It becomes difficult. But then isiZulu, there are also ways that comes from isiZulu to Shona, right? And then imagine you are in Ndebele that is coming from Bulawayo, right? You just appear there. It becomes easier for you even to write isiZulu for you inside the class, and you can even be able to produce 100% marks, right? And then the other thing again is food. Right? It's not okay when it comes to food. It's not every Zimbabwean who loves eating maybe South African food. Right? How do I mean? Some people, they don't love eating food. Right? Some Shona people, they don't love eating food. Some Ndebele people, they don't love eating food. So they'll be like, no, I don't eat this. You see, I don't care, I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? But then so those are the things that don't get along. Dress code. Cultural wise, wow. You know, in South Africa, right, you can check, okay, dress code, right? In South Africa, right, you realize that Zulu, they dress on their own, Sotho, they dress on their own, vendors, they dress on their own, Afrikaners, they dress on their own. So there is a style of dressing, but then we cannot get along. Why? When it comes to dressing code, you see, when it comes to dressing code, you don't get along. Because not everyone who dresses in Zulu culture and then is a Zulu. So when it comes to dressing code, we don't get along. Okay, guys, thank you for watching till the end. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Please don't forget to comment. Tell me what's your point over this. Thank you, guys. Till we meet.